Ayushmann Khurrana in conversation. वो पुराने जमाने में कहावत होती थी कि एक्टर जो है या कलाकार जो है तालियों का मोहताज नहीं होता, पैसों का होता है. नहीं, तालियों का भी होता है. बजा दो यार. थैंक यू, थैंक यू.
Thank you, Preetham.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Ayushmann, it's so great to have you here with us on this platform.
Thank you so much, Madhurita. This is not the first time we're interacting, but it's always fun
Yes,
chatting with you.
Absolutely. So we're here to talk about how you redefine mainstream hero in Hindi cinema. So you started your career in 2012 with Vicky Donor. And ever since, your choice of roles have been brave, they've been risky, they've been quirky, all of that. But what I want to understand is that, did you always plan this? Did you always think this is the road you're going to chalk for yourself? Or was it like you saw a space in Hindi cinema and said, यहाँ पे कोई नहीं है, and I can seize this and make this my own?
I think in every time and era, there's a certain space for every kind of character, every kind of actor. But in the tens, there was a definite void of an actor who was also a character at the same time. And it was something new in the tens, especially in 2012 when Vicky Donor happened. That protagonist was there in an unconventional film which did commercially well.
Right.
It was never the norm in the past, so I think that was the only difference. But yeah, I'll be very honest. In 2008, when I came to Bombay for the first time, Ranbir Kapoor made his debut, and there was this void of actors in their 20s. Like most of the actors were in their 30s or 40s. There was no young actor in the 2000s. And Ranbir made the entry. I was like, "Ab to ye aa gaya, main kya karunga?" Then Ranveer Singh happened in 2010 or 11. I was like, "Ab ye bhi aa gaya, main kya karunga?" So I had no option but to tread the unconventional path. And fortunately, it worked for me because Shujit Sarkar saw something in me. I was an anchor on television. So he was like, "Yehi hai." So I was like, okay. So I didn't even audition for that film. So yeah, I was quite fortunate like that.
But remember you telling me that you rejected like 6 films before Vicky Donor, right? Because somewhere you feared that as a newcomer, if you went wrong, you wouldn't get a second chance. I mean, that's a lot for a newcomer too, right? To have that kind of confidence.
I was very secure in my own skin. I was a television presenter that time, and that was a time when I was interviewing actors, and I was learning from them their mistakes or their successes or whatever they used to do. So I had this notion in my head that अगर मेरी पहली picture नहीं चली तो मुझे दूसरा मौका नहीं मिलेगा. And I had gotten like 6 chances before. I was like, but it didn't resonate with me, the script. But Vicky Donor was such a breath of fresh air. And Shujit Sarkar was such a not commercial director, but a very credible director. And I always thought that this film will earn a lot of credibility. But commercial success was beyond expectation. So it was just a windfall.
Right. But as your film started working, Dam Laga Ke Hai Shah, Vicky Donor, Shubh Mangal, the audience was applauding you, the media loved you, and they called you trailblazer, trendsetter, all of that. Were the chances that you were taking become less risky? Because I remember once you said that as you get more success, you're also more fearful of what could go wrong.
I have built the entire career of mine on risks. I just cannot not take risks. I can't really see myself in a typical commercial pot boiler. I don't know. I've always been an unconventional actor. So I had to take risks. The only trip in life is just to do something which is out of the box and novel, and probably the first attempt in Hindi cinema. Throughout the filmography, it's been the norm कि ये पहली ऐसी film होनी चाहिए. So it's that trip in my head, I guess. I don't know. I don't think about the outcome of the film, but I only think about it should be engaging, entertaining. But number one priority is it should be the first step towards that direction.
Right. Also, interestingly, you work with a lot of first-time directors. Is that also because you think they have the same courage to push the boundaries like you do, same courage to take the risk that you love taking?
Yeah, most of my films are with first-time directors. Even last two, Dr. G and Action Hero, first-time directors. I don't know. I really think that the kind of risk-taking capability of a first-time director is far more than a seasoned one. And the kind of scripts that I get, they, by default, they are with the first-time directors.
Right.
So I don't know. It's also I think about the budgeting of the film. My films are not like mounted at 100 crore scale or something like that. So the success of the film depends on the budget. So they're always within a budget, and it's easy to do the budget with the first-time director also. So it's just more practical.
all works out
Already
that
the script, the subject is novel and it's risky, as I say, out of syllabus for Bollywood. So it has to be in a certain budget. So it just works out well.
So, there was a stage you reached, Ayushmann, where you had back-to-back, like a series of 6, 7, like, hits, right? And, I can't say you made a niche for yourself. It's a small word. I would say it's like you were a genre. You made a genre for yourself. That's fascinating and rare. So, firstly, I want to ask you, was that very flattering? And secondly, did you at some point feel there was a lot of onus on you to constantly deliver films in that genre? And, you became like the face of changing cinema. And it comes with a lot of pressure, too.
I never thought like that. Probably it's a default setting. It's by default, I think, not by design purely. I just focus on one film at a time. That this film should be of a certain space and, should engage the audience in a certain way or maybe give some intrigue. And I know that there were back-to-back 7, 8 commercial successes. Right. All were unconventional. But I never thought that I'll be making a genre for myself, like it would be called an Ayushmann Khurrana genre. It's too much to think about. I just take one film at a time. I was doing my own thing. That's it.
Right, yeah. But you were the face of changing cinema. Were you like really proud of the change you brought about in our cinema with that? Like, because after, the Ayushmann wave happened, filmmakers realized that you don't always need tentpole films. You don't need large-scale budgets. You could have a star like Ayushmann and a great story and work on the content and deliver such great cinema.
I think this conspiracy theory is changing every film after pandemic. Like initially, people were thinking only big ticket films will work. Then they were thinking, no, now Kantara has also happened. And then Drishyam 2 happened. Then we're thinking only franchises will work after Bhool Bhulaiyaa 2 and Drishyam 2. But I think if you go out there to make an engaging film which appeals to larger segment of audiences, I think you are home. So we're all in that self-discovery phase after pandemic. And I think if it's made within budget and released at a good time and space, I think it'll have its own share.
Yeah. So when you said you set your mind to break the mold, we've grown up on a certain kind of hero who looks a certain type, walks a certain way, speaks a certain way, right? You were nothing like that, and you broke the boundaries, and you are where you are today. But was there any fear of perception, because it was a huge perception to break, right?
Yeah, I think, again, I'll go back to my first answer where I had to just use my own space, and there was a certain void of that kind of a protagonist who was not larger than life, who was real, who was imperfect at the same time. And I made that route mine. So it's the timing. Yeah, I seized it maybe. So even moving forward, I'm not really obsessed with my own character. I'm just obsessed with the stories as a whole. I may not be the main driver of the story. The characters around me are also very, very strong, be it somebody like Jaideep Alav, an action hero, or Rajkumar Rao in Bareli Ki Barfi, Gajaraj Rao in Badhai Ho, Bhumi Pednekar in Dam Laga Ke Aisha, Tabu in Andhadhun, Neena Gupta also in Badhai Ho. So it's well-rounded, it's not just about you. It's about the story. So I think stories excite me.
Right. But if you look back, you have so many memorable characters. Any one that you would like to revisit or relook at or rewrite if you had to? Or do it differently?
I don't think I can do anything differently. I have like no regrets or nothing. I just move on very quickly. I'm very detached as an actor, which is very important to be detached, because if you're doing 3 films a year and you're attached to your character, you just can't. It's too much of a baggage. I was shooting Andhadhun and Badhai Ho simultaneously.
Right.
2 different films, 2 different genres. A guy next door in Delhi and probably a warped musician in Pune. So I think there were 2 different characters, and it was not easy if you are taking that character home. So it's very important to be detached.
But is any one role that stands out where you've been really consumed by it?
I think Ayan Ranjan in Article 15. That's the only film which has a certain dark tonality out of all my films.
Right.
I think that was something new to me. I was introduced fresh to casteism, and that was something which was really affected me at a personal level. And I think that was that throughout the shoot of Article 15, I was not in my like regular chirpy self
Right.
because it was it was too much, and I think I'm glad I was introduced to that world and to that realm, and I'm glad it was also a first induction for the audiences, Hindi cinema goers in a commercial space on casteism.
Right.
And moving forward, of course, there'll be, you know, there'll be more representation, not in terms of just the films, but also the actors and the directors and technicians.
Right. I remember you telling me that, in that film you were out of your skin, right? So when you do a film like that, which is not close to your core, does that make you more nervous? Are there any moments of insecurity, like, can I pull this off?
Always. I think
Yeah.
uh, when you have lived-in experience of a character, it becomes easier.
Right.
Andhadhun and Article 15, these were the two films which I had no lived-in experience. So you put in more homework or extra work, and there's certain method to it. But I used to be a method actor in college when I used to do theatre. But over the years, when I started anchoring, did radio, journalism, I started believing in my gut and intuition. I started reacting more than acting. It really depends on the actor who's in front of you. So you just can't over-prepare. But certain films, yes, like Anek or Article 15,
Anek too,
Andhadhun. Action Hero also to some extent, because that was like my first in action, and in that world, I'm not that person at all.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk about action hero because you've always spoken about how you've grown up on like larger than life cinema and you love that kind of cinema. But last year was the first time we saw you do an all-out action film, and it's interesting because even that was kind of anti-casting because they cast you because you were not the quintessential action hero. So somewhere the quirk never leaves a package. Never leaves you, right? You come with that package always in whatever you do.
What I've learned from the pandemic is that I may not do taboo subjects on celluloid. If it's relatable, it has to be quirky for sure. An action hero, as I said, I'm not really obsessed by making myself look different on screen, on celluloid, but it has to be a different story for people.
Right.
An action hero was relatable, it was topical, it was me versus them, like whatever happened, boycott, hashtag boycott Bollywood in the past couple of years, everything was there in that film.
It was a masala film.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was very different. It was very exciting for me, I think.
Yeah. But was it also a step in a direction for you to, for a while at least, move away from, the social dramas you've been doing? Because that wasn't really, that was like an all-out masala film.
Of course it was. That's why it required a lot of homework. While I was shooting for Dr. G, I was preparing for Action Hero. I was taking MMA training and everything.
Right.
And since I'm not that person who's... Action Hero, I think that star in the film,
Right.
Manav, is very self-obsessed. He's arrogant also at the same time. And he goes beyond self-awareness. So that was not me. So it required a lot of homework. And it was a welcome change for me. But even now, if I get a social comedy, which is fresh and which is entertaining, I'll just go for it.
Right. And you've got Dream Girl 2 coming up.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
And that's, again, a very, completely in the
it is, again,
masala zone, right?
I don't think anybody has seen a commercial film where the protagonist is playing a girl after Chachi 420.
Right.
So it's been a while. And again, there's a void for that kind of space and humor. And it's really exciting. I think it's Dream Girl first one in steroids. I think it's like that. Yeah.
I remember you telling me that, after every 2-3 films, you need to do something which is away from your core. Do you still maintain that? I mean, your films are anyway shocking subject-wise for us, and then you push it a step further.
I recently did that with Action Hero. So I don't know, moving forward, I would love to do something which is again different. And it was my first, brush with action, and would love to do that again in future as well.
Yeah. You always said that the kind of actor that you're kind of out of syllabus when it comes to commercial Hindi cinema. So do you want to continue being a part of that syllabus and evolving in that space? Or do you want to start a new chapter and look at some other textbooks?
There is no rule, I think. To break the rules, you should know the rule to begin with. And
But you've rewritten the rules. You have, right?
it's just not me. I think after Vicky Donor, there was a certain void of certain kind of scripts. I could not really touch that benchmark for another 2-3 years. It started happening with Dam Laga Ke Haisha. So the onus also goes on to the script writers and the directors who believed in me, and there were no commercial actors ready to do that film or genre.
Right.
So they had no choice. So, so I
it
guess
had to
it's,
be you.
yeah. So I'm glad it happened.
Right.
And in future as well, I would love to explore something which is novel, out of the box, and the first attempt in Hindi cinema.
Yeah. So irrespective of whatever genre you do, Ayushmann, what is the one thing you cannot take out of Ayushmann Khurrana? Irrespective of whatever genre of film you do, what is the one thing that you cannot take out of Ayushmann Khurrana as an actor?
I think the simplicity.
Sorry?
The simplicity. I keep it simple. I just don't try too hard. I wanted to be as organic and flowy as possible. And also the camaraderie with my co-actors. There's no insecurity because I come from a theater background, and when you do theater, you're also ready to do roles which are cameos. For example, Gulabo Sitabo, for example. I take it like a theater workshop. My mentor, Sujit Sarkar, he directed that film. He asked me for that film. I was like, there was no way I can say no to him.
Right.
So even if Bachchan Saab is taking the mantle and he's taking it forward, I'm ready to be just like a fly on the wall. So you can't just take that out of me.
What about the quirk that never leaves you?
As I said, I have no option but to be risky. And I think taboo is one thing I can get rid of for a while, but not
Okay.
the quirk.
Okay.
I have to stay with that.
Yeah. I know a lot of people over here know this, but I remember last time we were talking, you spoke about how you actually don't watch as much movies. You listen to more music than you watch movies. So you're not the rare actor who also is a musician and an actor. Tell us a bit about that.
There's a notion that a lot of people think that people who are consumers of art, they're also creators of art. They are not.
Right.
Like if you consume a lot of films, you have a lot of knowledge about films, and but that doesn't mean you can create.
Absolutely, yeah.
So to be an actor or an artist, you need to live life. They're all lived in experiences. You need to meet different kind of people, go out there, go to smaller cities, interact with people. I make it as an exercise when I shoot in smaller cities. I make friends with the driver or local production guy over there. उनके घर से खाना मंगवाता हूँ, उनसे बात करता हूँ, उनसे क्रिकेट खेलता हूँ, ताकि उनकी ज़िंदगी के बारे में कुछ पता चले. Like otherwise we live in a void, we live in that bubble कि हम actor बन गए हैं, and there's no growth per se. So if it gives you fodder for the characters you're playing on screen.
Right.
So of course you need to watch films, but you cannot be consumed by watching films. But yeah, coming back to music,
Right.
I think music is my first love. I discover a new artist every single day,
Yeah.
and I love indie music. I love ghazals, Sufi, every kind of genre.
Your taste in music is also very eclectic, right? You would tell
Yeah,
me about
I
these new
think-
artists you keep discovering.
I do.
Yes.
मैं फिल्मों के बिना रह सकता हूँ, मैं म्यूजिक के बिना नहीं रह सकता.
So would you say that your life experiences has actually made you a better actor?
Definitely. I was blessed that I started a theatre group in Chandigarh called Aghaz and Manch Tantra. We were like 15 odd driven students, and we used to travel length and breadth of the country, and we were just 18, 19-year-olds. So that also makes me better with Indian languages, because every 10 kilometers the language
Right.
changes, and you meet people from like the lowest common denominator, and you interact with them. So the induction was very early in life.
Right.
So I think it really helped.
Right, right. So lastly, I want to ask you, Ayushmann, the kind of cinema that you've done all these years are way ahead of its time in many ways, and you are one person, I don't think mediums matter for you, because you started in radio, and here you are today, a big star on the Indian screen. Are you fascinated by the OTT medium, by the digital medium, and does that draw your interest?
I think it's a renaissance. It's a huge revolution, not the... we are in renaissance right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a creative renaissance of sorts.
Yeah.
When you talk about OTT, I think it's like IPL. There's emerging talent, and there's space for a lot of people. And, there's great talent out there. And all we need to do is choose the correct medium for a correct project.
Right.
That's the learning from the pandemic. But I think I love OTT, whatever is happening there, especially I recently watched Jubilee. My brother's there.
Yeah,
So
of
I'm so
course.
proud of him, and I loved everything about that show. And yeah, that's the only thing. And no medium is small, be it television, radio. अगर आप एक artist हैं, आप theatre पे भी खुश हैं perform करके. So if you're an artist, you should just be there in any medium. It doesn't really matter.
Right. And lastly, for an actor who's made his own genre of films, is there any genre that you would like to explore which you haven't up until now?
The horror comedy it's a hint.
Horror comedy.
Yeah. It may happen soon, and I'm really excited about it.
So will we probably see you, are you exploring that right now?
Yeah.
Super. So we'll see you in that genre. Yes, but it'll have that Ayushmann quirk, I assume.
Definitely, it has to be there. Otherwise, I don't know, it just has to be a little different. Otherwise,
Right.
it doesn't excite me anymore.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ayushmann. It was lovely talking to
Thank
you.
you,
as
Madhurita. Always exciting
Thank you,
talking to you.
everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Summarizing the 404 pages that we've put out for you in the report, it is free from download from ey.com/in, so please feel free to take your copy from there. Could I have the presentation up? Okay, so I'm just going to quickly start with the sizing. As an industry, for the first time this year, we crossed the 2 lakh crore or 2 trillion rupee size. And I think we need to put our hands together for that. Because after getting debilitated in COVID, where we fell by over 23%, I think we've had 2 successful years of revival, and it just shows the resilience of the creative industry that many other industries still haven't reached their pre-COVID levels, but we have actually managed that. So that's a great thing. Interestingly, the size of 2.1 lakh crores does not include the size of data charges that are used to consume all the digital content, the music, the news, the gaming. So this year what we did is we said, let's try and estimate that number as well. Then how much out of the almost 2 lakh crores that people pay for data, retail data, is consumed in media. We found that number to be 90,000 crores. Right? So now if I add that on to the 2.1 lakh crores, we're talking about a 3 lakh crore industry, which really puts us out there as a genuinely sizable industry contributing significantly to the GDP. And I think that's a very interesting take that we're seeing right now. Advertising also for the first time crossed 1 lakh crores in the country. But look at the breakup. Almost 48% was digital. Digital today is a 50,000 crore advertising market. This includes about 18 to 20,000 crores, which small and medium businesses are spending on the platforms like search and social and OTT. And I think that itself is a huge struggle. So today, if you look at it, digital advertising is larger than both television and print advertising together. And that itself is a big change that we've seen. I actually feel that, this year we are like on the tipping point. We've got an industry, which if I include the data charges I was talking about, almost 50% of the industry is now digital. And we are amongst one of 7 or 8 large economies in the world which have reached that level today. A large part because of good data prices, a large part because of just an insane creator ecosystem, creating lots and lots of content, both short, medium, and long form. And I think that itself is going to drive the next 5 years. I have no doubt in my mind we're going to grow very, very healthy over the next few years with the digital revolution that we are witnessing in media. And that shows, if you look at it, those vertical bars really represent the amount, the absolute growth in numbers that you see. Now, we grew about 35,000 crores last year in absolute numbers. 48% of that was new media, which is digital, short video, and online gaming. Almost half the growth came from new media, and 40% came from sectors which had been hurt very badly by COVID. Everything outside the house, whether it was cinemas, or whether it was events, or whether it was out-of-home advertising, all of those resurged back with great vigor. So everyone who's saying traditional is not happening is not true, because the traditional media also grew, all except television, where advertising grew, but distribution did not grow, but every other medium actually ended up growing. So again, showing a very, very healthy sign in the economy. And where are we headed? We are still going to grow at a CAGR of at least 10.5% for the next 3 years, all the way to 2.8 trillion, 2.8 lakh crores, right? And again, it's going to be driven by new media. It's going to be driven also by television, but every single segment, I think, is headed for growth. Again, a very, very healthy sign that you are actually seeing. Of course, 2/3 almost of that growth will be driven by digital and new media, and 1/3 by traditional media. So where does television, everyone's asking me, where's television going, right? Is it the deathbed of television? Absolutely not, right? And I'm going to take you through very interesting things that are happening. We are seeing an increase in cord cutters. There are about 2 million cord cutters today, which will probably go to about 10 million cord cutters households by 2025. But also free TV is growing. So it's about 45 million homes today, growing to about 50 million homes by 2025. What will come down, however, is pay TV, which will come down by a few million. It's already lost about 10 million homes over the last 2-3 years. It'll lose maybe 4 or 5 million homes more. But at the end of the day, we still will have 140 million TV dark homes in this country. And if I can see a bigger opportunity for the government to come with private and do something about it, I can't see that. I think it's just aching for a good PPP model to come out, and let's see how we can televise or digitize the balance 150 million homes of this country. So again, there is a huge opportunity. Overall, television, large screen viewing will increase. It will not come down. But how we get there will involve a lot of regulatory support. OTT SVOD. Now, this is very interesting. And we saw OTT being in about 42 million households today paying for OTT in this country, which will probably grow, which has probably grown to 45 million in 2022. But we see it flat next year and marginal growth after that at the current price points. But if, as was hinted in today's speech by Jyoti, that you're going to transformatively change it, just a little hint, right? Hoping to see a lot more aggregation, more products like Tata Play Binge coming in. And a better price point, we can see that growing to even 100 million homes within 3 years. So just a little pricing correction, a little bundling can actually double the size of this industry in 3 years. Again, a lot of innovation can be expected on those fronts. Online gaming, 90 to 100 million Indians play games every single day. And we expect that within 3 years to double. And that is, in my mind, a pretty conservative estimate. I'm a chartered accountant, I'm born pretty conservative. So I'm going to say doubling of the industry is absolutely happening. Main growth of 21% CAGR, a huge growth, one of our fastest growing segments, will come from real money transaction gaming, but even casual gaming will grow at 15%. In my mind, there's a chance the economy, this segment of the industry just doubles in 3 to 4 years. Very, very probable. Animation and VFX, now just look at those two bubbles, right? The US top 10 studios spent $163 billion on content in 2022. Just the top 10 studios in the United States. The entire media and entertainment industry of India, all of it, TV, digital, print, radio, events, animation, gaming, out of home, everything put together is just 26 billion. Now, safe to say that at least 20% of that 163 billion, at a very conservative estimate, would be animation, VFX, and post-production, if not higher, right? Which itself is a $35 billion opportunity. And India needs to grab onto that. And I think with the AVGC policy, we've set a framework in that direction, and now we should see the benefits. I'm putting my neck out there and saying our 10,000 crore industry, which is just $1.2 billion, should within 3 years more than double to about 19,000 crores. And I'm looking forward to a lot of people in this room. I can see Ashish, I can see Biren, and many others. Taking this initiative, it's a huge, huge opportunity for Make in India and for Create in India. And therefore, to conclude, my last slide, where is this industry going? From 2.1 lakh crores, headed to about 2.8 lakh crores in 3 years. That's a 10.5% CAGR, but it's a different CAGR for different parts of it. Advertising growing very strongly at 11%, driven by an increasing per capita income. Interestingly, our per capita income today in India is about $2,500. It's very low because we have a very large base. But even with that large base, that per capita income is growing to $3,000 by 2025. And that is actually a much, much more important finding than anything in this report, because the way that will pan out is a huge burst in consumption that we're going to see. And therefore, advertising will go very, very strongly over the next 3 years. Subscription I've put slightly muted because I feel there will be a correction in pricing at some point, and therefore I've taken a 5% growth. But the strongest part, the stellar part, I think is going to be content production and services. And that, I think, India has the opportunity to grow at 20% out there. So with that, I'd like to conclude my summary of the report. It is 400 pages, but that's a quick summary of all that you get from me. Thank you. Namaste. Have a great event.
And he's also been Secretary for Ministry of Labour and Employment. But today we have Shri Apurva Chandra as Secretary INB with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call upon Apurva Chandra to share his notes.
Morning, my colleagues on the dais and friends from media and entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. Today, as Ficci has put me on 4 panels, one after the other. So it will be like take, retake, and then thereafter the audience will be saying cut, 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 because I will be repeating myself in all the panels. So I will go totally off script and try not to repeat. But I think whenever you feel, then you can say cut, cut, and I will stop. We in the government, we would like to be facilitators and supporters of the media and entertainment industry so that it grows to world scale and not regulators. And that is how we have been working over the past few years, supporting the media and entertainment industry. Mr. Pherwani put up the numbers that there has been a 20% growth in 2022. The media entertainment industry in India has reached $26 billion, which is a remarkable figure. At the same time, there is a reality check that we are still 1% of the world, less than 1% of the world. So there is a world to be captured. The world is interested in Indian stories. The world is interested in Indian culture, and that is what we see when we win Oscars, when our films are appreciated throughout the world. The box office is rising, and the content on the OTTs, it is being lapped up all over the world. That is what Netflix, Amazon, and the others tell us. That the Indian stories now being dubbed and being accessible throughout the world are being lapped up throughout the world. But then, what is it that constrains us? Why is it that we are not reaching world scale? I would think that there are 2-3 things which are necessary for the industry to grow. One is, of course, the manpower, then the infrastructure. Yesterday only I was talking to some colleagues and they were saying that there is a lack of manpower, and there the role of government comes in. We would like to work along with the industry to set up more and more institutes so that more and more manpower comes on board. Animation, visual effects, graphics, that is the area where there is a tremendous potential. That area is growing 20% almost every year. But despite so much of, now we have become the most populous country in the world, but still there is a lack of manpower, and people, because now the content, the creation of content over the past 2-3 years since the OTTs have come in has grown stupendously in the country. And people tell me that there is nobody without work now in Mumbai or anywhere else where films are being made. Everybody is having a lots of work. People are working double shift, triple shifts, and that is why probably Ayushmann was also late. He must have been working till the morning, I'm sure. So, how do we get our young people to be trained into areas where the industry needs? And for that, last year we created the AVGC task force. The finance minister announced it in the budget. The report is submitted, and now we are going to come out with the AVGC policy and create an AVGC mission so that we can take the vision forward. We can work right from the school level into skilling our children, and in the curriculum introduce courses for animation, visual effects, so that in the computer courses and in their computer courses and co-curricular activities, whatever they do in terms of graphic arts and others that they can do using software, and then they can grow up into animators and creators of stories in animation and visual effects. Support in terms of National Center for Excellence. We hope that by the next year, when we come here again for this Ficci Frames, we would be able to announce, or the National Center for Excellence will be operational in Mumbai, and we hope that next year we would not be talking about it, but actually be seeing that National Center for Excellence functioning in Mumbai. 4 major areas in media entertainment: films, broadcasting, OTT, AVGC I have already talked about. And in all these, government wants to play a supportive role. Last year when I had come in the Ficci fast track, we had said that the merger of the film units is going to happen. Now it has already happened. NFDC has become the umbrella organization for all the film-related activities being done by the government, whether it is participation in films, whether it is production funding, whether it is film heritage or children films, etc. The objective of this merger is that whatever NFDC earns should be flowed back for the media and entertainment industry, doesn't go into the consolidated fund of the country, because that gives more leeway, more funding to NFDC to work for the media, for the film industry. On the film heritage mission, we have given out, all the contracts have been awarded, more than 500 crores worth, and the work is going on at Pune at a fast pace. We have a target of digitizing 5,100 or so reels, of which 2,435 are feature films, 2,760 are shorts. And already till now, about 1,400 films and 1,100 shorts have already been digitized. Restoration contract, which was the largest of the contract, almost 350 crore, that has also been awarded. We are going to do 2,253 films, of which 1,145 feature films and 1,100 shorts. This is what the government is doing, and we have arrived at this number of films and shorts after going through a rigorous process of committees, national awards, and whatever we feel as the heritage. What I would like to call upon the film industry today, and what I have been discussing with my team, is that there are still a number of films and shorts which have been left behind, which are not part of our mission. Can we launch a program where fans like you come up and say that I am a fan of this film, and this should be restored, this should be digitized, and you pay for it. So I think we will come up with a program like that, that people and fans pay for a film, and that can be restored, and that can be digitized at resources which we have set up, and then we keep it in our vaults for safekeeping and for posterity. So we hope to launch this program soon. Also, NFDC, we feel, has been left behind. Now, for the past 8-10 years, we have not really been financing many projects. We need to come back again. We need to finance projects. We need to give support to young filmmakers who don't get access otherwise in the larger market. And also come up with the OTT of NFDC so that those who don't get access to theaters, they are able to, their films are showcased on the OTT of NFDC. The young talent gets a chance to showcase their talent. The Film Facilitation Office has been revamped. We will come out with a tender for the website of the Film Facilitation Office within a month, so that we take up construction of theaters, event management, film shootings, link it with the states, incentives, everything we take up within that Film Facilitation Office on that website. And we hope to get some good parties to revamp this particular website. The Cinematograph Act has recently been, the Cabinet has approved the revamp of the Cinematograph Act so that we take strict action on piracy. The Act is likely to be introduced in the monsoon session of the Parliament. We hope to get it passed soon. And once the Act is passed, I'm sure the film industry and those on the OTTs, they would be happy with the provisions which give powers to the government to directly take action on internet websites where pirated films get circulated. Regarding the International Film Festival of India at Goa, again, we would like to partner with industry. The NFDC wants to hire people as festival director, as marketing director, and in other positions, so that the festival becomes more professional, less of government, and we hope that the advertisements are already out, that people who are listening and those who have seen the ad come forward to make International Film Festival of Goa truly an international festival and a name to reckon with in the world. As regarding broadcasting, the new uplinking, downlinking guidelines came out just about a couple of months back. We have tried to reduce the burden of regulations. In many of the cases where permissions were required, we have reduced it, and now it is only intimation. On uplinking of channels, where downlinking is not being done in India, and the downlinking is done somewhere outside the country, we will reduce the requirement of paper substantially, very substantially, since we are not concerned about the quality of programming or the program content, because it is not being beamed down in India, so that India becomes a uplinking hub for channels like other countries, because many of the neighboring countries go to Singapore, Dubai, etc., to uplink their channels. As regards OTT, because that has seen the most phenomenal growth over the past 2-3 years during the COVID period, the government has kept a soft touch approach. It is, in terms of content regulation, it is more of a self-regulatory mechanism. We came out with the self-regulatory mechanism in 2021. And I believe that... Hello. Yeah.
So you spoke about the general challenges before the sector and how it is growing. So how is government going to play the facilitator's role, sir, and regulate less?
टुडे आज जो है E&Y की रिपोर्ट को रिलीज़ किया गया, जिसमें ये दिखाई दिया कि वर्ष 2022 में मीडिया एंटरटेनमेंट सेक्टर भारत का 2 लाख करोड़ का टर्नओवर क्रॉस कर गया है, और ये पहली बार हमारा ऐसा हुआ है जो हमने 2019 का जो प्री कोविड लेवल था उसको भी मीडिया एंटरटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री ने पार कर दिया है, और पिछले वर्ष में मीडिया एंटरटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री ग्रोथ लगभग 20% से अधिक की हुई है। ये एक बहुत क्रेडिटेबल सक्सेस स्टोरी है, क्योंकि मीडिया एंटरटेनमेंट हमारा 20% प्रति वर्ष पे ग्रो कर रहा है, और अब हम जो $25 बिलियन को भी क्रॉस कर चुके हैं, एंड वी आर श्योर दैट द मीडिया एंटरटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री विल ग्रो एट अ very fast pace, much faster than the GDP of the country, and will continue to grow. And media entertainment sector now is being liked. What we are creating is being shown throughout the world. इस बार हमारे को 2 ऑस्कर मिले, जो हमने देखा कि RRR और एलिफेंट विस्परर, इनको 2 ऑस्कर भी मिले, और जो नेटफ्लिक्स, अमेजन पे और बाकी OTTs पे जिस तरह का हमारा कंटेंट जाता है वो पूरे वर्ल्ड में देखा जा रहा है, विविध भाषाओं में उसको कंज्यूम किया जा रहा है, और नेटफ्लिक्स और अमेजन के लोग बताते हैं कि कई देशों में जो हमारा कंटेंट है वो कई बार फर्स्ट 10 में आता है.
What are the many more facilities are the media people are going to get, as we see, whether it's the filmmaker, whether it's the director, whether it's the producer, any?
Last time during the Cannes Film Festival, we had announced the incentive package for the shooting in India, for foreign films coming to India and shooting in India. The same extends to if any film does the animation, visual effects, gaming, etc. also in India. For that also we are giving incentives. Those incentives are very substantial. We have already released incentive over ₹1 crore to the first project, which is Inheritance. This project has been released that incentive last month in March, and now there are another 3 or 4 projects which are already in the pipeline. More and more projects are coming in. This incentive policy is a success, and we want more films to be shot in India.
So you spoke about one of the initiatives that was about digitalization, where fans and film enthusiasts can pay for digitalization. What is that initiative?
With the support of fans, we would like more and more films to be digitized and restored. Currently, the National Film Heritage Mission is going on at Pune through NFDC. Now it has been handed over to NFDC. And there we are digitizing more than 3,000 films, 3,000 feature films, and shorts also about 2,000. Then we are restoring about 2,000 such films. And government is spending almost 500 crore rupees on this project. All the contracts have been awarded, and new fresh vaults are also being created in Pune. But as I said, that only about 2,000 feature films are covered under restoration and about 3,000 in digitization, and the number of our heritage is very large. Government cannot pay for all the films, and so I call upon the fans and those who love films. We will come out with a list, and they can choose their own favorites, and we will come out with a scheme so that they can pay for the digitization and restoration, and we will do it.
So you spoke about NFDC
के बारे में आपने बताया, नेशनल सेंटर फॉर एक्सेलेंस, तो मुंबई में कहाँ शुरू होने वाला है और कौन से कोर्सेज वहाँ पे रहेंगे?
नेशनल सेंटर ऑफ एक्सीलेंस के लिए महाराष्ट्र शासन ने हमें जब 20 एकड़ जगह गोरेगांव फिल्म सिटी के अंदर दी हुई है और यहाँ पर हमें नेशनल सेंटर फॉर एक्सीलेंस बनाना है, पर अब अभी वहाँ पर हमें कंस्ट्रक्शन करने में कुछ समय लगेगा, क्योंकि कंस्ट्रक्शन करते करते वहाँ 3-4 वर्ष का समय लगेगा। इसलिए हमारा विचार ये है कि जब तक वहाँ बनता नहीं है तब तक हमारे पेडर रोड के ऊपर जो फिल्म डिवीज़न का जो बिल्डिंग्स हैं वहाँ पर हम जो है उसमें टेम्प्रेरी रूप से क्लासेस शुरू कर सके। अभी हमारे को गवर्नमेंट की परमिशन जैसे मिलती है केंद्र सरकार की, तो हम उसको फिक्की और सीआईए की पार्टनरशिप के अंदर उसको चलाना चाहते हैं।
So in the past, NFDC has backed films like Gandhi, Jaane Bhi Do Yaro. You spoke about NFDC getting back into the entire idea of producing or backing films up. So what should we expect going forward, sir?
The NFDC was producing major films in the past. Of course, now NFDC is a co-producer of the film Mujib with government of Bangladesh. That film is almost ready. That is on the life of Mujibur Rahman, who is the father of Bangladesh, and that film is going to be released during this year. Apart from that, NFDC has budget to support small film producers. We are not into the large film game, and those who don't get really the opportunity to produce films on a larger scale, and because there are so many film producers, so much of talent in the country who would like to produce films, so we want to give them opportunity. Last year, a task force was created. As announced by the Honorable Finance Minister in the budget of 2022, the task force has submitted reports to the government. In that task force, the secretaries of skill development, secretaries of education, they were also represented. And the chairman, AICT, he was also chairing a subgroup. So all those collective reports have come to the government. And the government is going to take its decision soon, so that skilling and education, they are the most important part to make, to increase the workforce of animation, because that is an area where there are so many companies who are working in this particular area. What they require is trained manpower. All the major Hollywood productions and throughout the world, they come to our country for animation and visual effects. But manpower is a constraint, and we need to work on that.
So you
सर
spoke
कोरोना
about
के चलते सर ओटीटी जो उसका बूमिंग हो रहा है, लेकिन फिल्मों की जो एक पिछवाड़ी मतलब पीछे जा रहे हैं, इस बारे में गवर्नमेंट मिनिस्ट्री का क्या ऑब्जर्वेशन है?
नहीं, फिल्में पीछे नहीं जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि अब फिल्मों को भी
चल नहीं रही है, I mean.
फिल्मों को एक अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल गई है। जो ओटीटी भी एक माध्यम हो गया है, जिसमें बहुत से लोग ओटीटी पे देखते हैं, और बहुत सी फिल्में जो बनती हैं उनको आज ओटीटी के ऊपर भी उनका रिलीज होता है। पहले थिएटर में होता है, फिर ओटीटी में होता है, और उससे जो मुझे को लगता है कि कंटेंट क्रिएशन भारत में बढ़ा है। इनफैक्ट जो बड़े बड़े ओटीटी प्लेयर हैं, कोई 5,000 करोड़ खर्च कर रहा है, कोई 10,000 करोड़ खर्च कर रहा है, तो इस तरह का कंटेंट क्रिएशन में जो खर्चा है वो पहले कभी भारत में नहीं हुआ है। और आज परिस्थिति ये है कि जो भी काम करने वाले हैं सबको 1-2 शिफ्ट में काम करना पड़ रहा है, क्योंकि काम बहुत अधिक है, और हम चाहते हैं कि इसी तरह से जो है देश में कंटेंट क्रिएशन की वृद्धि होती रहे।
so you appealed to the industry for self-regulation.